What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spear, presented to you by NIL Game Day. We are here on this wonderful Thursday evening. As you can see, I am just with one partner this tonight. I'm left with one of my good friends here, Dustin. We sometimes like to kill each other every other day, but that's what makes the relationship fun. D-Lou, lead writer and editor, is with us this evening. We've got a ton to talk about, D-Lou. I mean, it is buzzing right now. It is craziness, but how you doing?
I'm, not my favorite Thursday that I've ever had. As I've communicated with you throughout the day, I lost power about 9 a.m. Finally got it back close to 5 p.m. and then I had some internet troubles. So it's been a really interesting day, and I've just, kind of rolled with the punches.
Yeah, I've been texting you since the beginning of that, and we've been talking, and we're trying to get all prepared for football season ahead. And this is usually the month of July where we kind of got to wake up and be like, "Oh, we got to start figuring out what to do before August and September gets here." But finally, it came at the perfect time. You had to sweat all the way throughout the day, but you know what? You're here with us now. Nate, we don't know where he's at.
I'm the only one that's here.
You're the only one that I've got.
What happened?
The only one that I can work with. Literally. And then Nate's not here. He's at the restaurant. He might be able to join us later on. And then we also got Los, who's up in Buffalo, so he can't join. Then Austin just got his second vaccine shot, so he's going to stay in the closet tonight and not be able to join us. So it kind of stinks. But you know what? We're here. We're going to have a good time. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And me and Dustin like to talk, and we'll be on the phone for like 40, 45 minutes to an hour sometimes.
You like to talk. I listen. I'm like, what am I going to do?
That is true. You just can't hang up on me. So, but I say we jump into it. Before I start, though, I should go to our YouTube crowd real quick. We have opened up the donation thing. So if you do a super chat over there and you send in a question or anything, or if you just want to be kind and send a donation, you can actually now do that inside of the chat there. I think you can also send a super sticker and then also a super chat where it'll come up on the stream. So if you guys are feeling kind or just kind of want to be, you want to get a question across and you want to get it answered right away, then you'll have a better chance of doing that. So just want to let you guys know while you guys are on YouTube, that is now open for biz. We're just, now that the NLI is out and everything, we're just all working our marketing skills and everything. So
what kind of stickers are we talking about here?
I don't know. I saw like there's some elephants, there's some kind of aliens, there's all kinds of different stickers, Dustin.
You don't have like a Florida State sticker?
No, there's no Florida State stickers. It's all YouTube. So I don't think Florida State or YouTube really gives a damn about Florida State football or basketball. They don't, Dustin. So you can talk with them if you want. Anyways, let's jump into it. The biggest, recap here that we need to go through. Florida State recruiting. The dead period has now begun as of July 1st. And, Florida State did a phenomenal job. I mean, they killed it. You've got, we'll talk about it because we'll go through one by one on these commitments that happened. But Florida State, all that work that was put in, and we've kept on talking about it, Mike Norvell, is he taking any breaks anywhere? And it didn't seem that wasn't the case at all, and it worked out in their favor of landing a good amount of commits before the dead period. Florida State now holds the number one, has been, but still holds on to the number one ranking in the 2022 class in the ACC. Yep, in the ACC. And now, I'm making sure that's correct. And then also number 3 overall in the country, Dustin. What is going on? Florida State, after a 3-6 season, not so great of seasons overall the last couple of years, but definitely last year. What is going on? What is happening?
I mean, who the hell knows? Like this is crazy. I mean, obviously I'm newer to the FSU beat and recruiting in general, but and probably like the last 5 or 6 years that I've covered recruiting, I haven't seen anything like this Florida State wise. And even like thinking about to when I just read about it, a long time ago, like this momentum, it's something that Florida State hasn't had in a while. And, I think it was huge this June for the dead period to finally be lifted up and get these guys back on campus. And, the guys that are committed, you just reaffirmed it to them what Florida State is about now that you got them on campus, and the guys that are joining the class who have committed or, who could commit later on. These experiences this summer are going to be huge things that they look back on.
Yeah, no, it's just fun to see that, you got the Miami fans going crazy this whole week. They're getting so pissed off about it. And then you've also got the Gator fans coming in too and griping. And, you kind of got to go pretty far down there to see where Miami's ranked. Florida's still, trickling down there too, but they'll do their thing once it gets closer to football season. But it's been fun to see the Miami fans going crazy. But going back to Mike Norvell and the energy that he's brought with them, that's one thing that Nate and you have talked about with the recruits and the interviews you've been doing with the guys that have committed, that it seems like Mike Norvell and his energy, that approach that he's bringing into these visits, the whole staff being out there for guys that are targets, the whole staff greeting them. They're around the player 24/7 once they're on campus or they're right there in the Moore. It's 24/7 conversations, building the relationships there, talking with the families, touring around, showing the facilities. There's just like so many things that Florida State and definitely Mike Norvell is working on and trying to build this class, and it's working out very well. A lot of things are going to change. We talked about in the production meeting, there's a lot of things that are going to change overall with this class. There's going to be some guys that are currently signed or not signed, but committed now that are not going to end up signing with Florida State. But, you look on the other side, there might be some guys that are still not committed that will sign with Florida State. So that's the whole crazy part of recruiting now with visits back to normal. A lot of things are going to be, changing, and there's still a lot of targets at Florida Staters after. We'll talk about it here in a little bit, but there's still, some big time targets at Florida State. I think some big time targets that really like Florida State, but they want to see how it goes on the field this year.
Definitely agree. And I mean, you mentioned the energy, the dead period has, at least going into June, the dead period had been in place for basically the last 16 months. The only contact that recruits could have with coaches was over the phone, social media, FaceTime, whatever, you may have. But now that you're getting guys onto campus, you can't fake what's going on in person. You can hide things over the phone, not be as genuine, but when you get a guy on your campus and you have to show him what your program's about, I mean, you have to be real to land these kids. They can sense when you're not being honest with them. And, to me, doing interviews with guys that have been on campus in June, you mentioned the energy. And the other thing that a lot of guys have mentioned to me is just how down to earth, how real, and I already said it a bunch of times, but how genuine these coaches really are at Florida State. I mean, they really do want the best for the guys that are coming into the program. They look at that student athlete, they look at the student part first and trying to build a high character individual, and then what they're doing on the football field. So I think that approach on the recruiting trail for Florida State, that's really the thing that's built this momentum. People want to play for coaches that are honest with them and don't just work them around. And that's exactly what the staff has done.
Yeah. And the factor of, we had a previous committee. He's now committed elsewhere, but Nico Marco, he was talking about his relationship with Mike Norvell and how real it was. It wasn't some fake thing, and it didn't seem like some kind of advertisement, some kind of ploy to get him, to commit to Florida State and eventually sign. But, he was on FaceTime with, the family of Mike Norvell. He was talking to his daughter over FaceTime. It's kind of just showing the how real Norvell is, and it's reflecting and it's coming onto the staff too. And Nate has talked about it too. And the staff really likes each other. You can tell that. It's something really cool to see, with a staff like this, still fairly new together, some of them being able to work with each other beforehand at previous stops, but mainly, this is a whole new group. This is really cool to see. It's cool to see overall, as an outsider just looking in, but as for a recruiting kind of situation and showing, man, they're showing on Twitter and stuff, but man, when I went to go visit, blah blah is messing with blah blah blah, and it just seems like that's actually the real deal once they get on campus, and it's cool to see that kind of stuff, and definitely you want to have that. Mike Norvell wants that. He wants to see his staff, being real with the guys, but also they want to have the staff messing with one another, the staff hanging out with one another, getting along, and that is only just going to drive more success on selling to these recruits that, this is not some fake BS that's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, you see it with how much they support each other on social media. I mean, every coach from Mike Norvell to a position coach to, a GA or an off-field staff member. I mean, these guys are constantly supporting each other on social media. And like you said, Logan, like they all really like each other and they want to see each other, be the best that they can be. And that's another thing. Like you haven't really seen it necessarily at Florida State in a little bit. I mean, you think back to Jimbo, he certainly had some tiffs with different guys on the coaching staff throughout his tenure at Florida State. And you think even closer to Willie Taggart and Walt Bell kind of clashed over the offense that one season. So really to have that coaching chemistry, I mean, that can only help Florida State, as they try to build back into what this program can be.
Well, let's jump into some of these commits. I mean, it's a good handful, so we'll try to not waste everybody's time and keep you up till midnight. But we're going to go through Florida State's latest commits. Since this all happened after we had our show last week, it just started jumping off the chain, which is a good thing. I think it started on Friday with Trevon Williams last week, 4-star linebacker out of the 2022 class. He picks Florida State. Mississippi guy, Jarian Jones, was actually in attendance right behind him where Williams made his announcement to the staff that was there on the official visit dinner, and also some current players. We also saw Mara Gaynor was there, and we saw the rest of the recruiting group that was there for their officials. But, this was a surprise. I wouldn't say overall surprise that Florida State wasn't in it kind of commitment, but this, as early as it was, this was a surprise. We talked about it on the video when we covered an instant reaction with Nate. He said this was definitely a surprise for the timing of it. This had to have been kind of like, hey, you know what? This is it. Florida State sold me. Mike Norvell's got me. And Coach Pap, too, is very happy for what he gets to work with. This is a gigantic beast that Florida State's putting at the end. Like, great. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I get to actually, I like my big players, guys that are working hard in the weight room and such. And this is my kind of like A1 dude coming in.
Well, I mean, what I say last podcast, or maybe it was whenever we did that reaction video on Charlton, but I said Trevon Williams is the guy that you want first off the bus because, I mean, he's just a huge dude. But like you said, this really came out of nowhere, and reading social media these last couple of days, it really seemed like Williams made this decision in the moment. He only picked up that offer from Florida State earlier in June at one of those camps that Florida State was holding, and they got him back in for the official pretty quickly, which I thought was big. I mentioned before, the two Mississippi schools, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, were pretty heavily involved with him, and it's hard to pull a kid out of Mississippi when those two schools are after him, but it seems like his family and, Williams himself are sold on Florida State, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Right now he's kind of coming in, I would say, as a defensive end, but when you look at his size and his body type, like there's definitely room for him to add even more weight and more muscle, which I think could flex him down to the interior defensive line. So, we'll just have to see how he continues to progress strength and conditioning wise once he gets to FSU.
We don't have a lot of highlights here on Trevon's huddle tape. Maybe one of their coaches or someone can help him out, help us out a little bit and give us some more highlights. But this is one here that was shared across social once he committed. Here he is actually at outside linebacker working, and he actually gets a pick off. But it just goes to show too his versatility. This guy also played a little bit of quarterback, if I'm correct too. Like, he's a guy that can play almost everywhere. Nate mentioned that he also had played a little bit of DB too. He's just that kind of beast athlete who takes care of his body and is also very twitchy and fast. But he's definitely going to come in down as a defensive end. That's where Florida State likes him. And I like to make comparisons and just to have fun. Why not, right? But it definitely coming in as a high school student, and whenever he comes to Florida State, he's already built as a 2-year player, 3 years that's already been through the strength and conditioning program. He's got that kind of body already, that kind of physique. And I put him right there with the build of a Chase Young. The talent of Chase Young is definitely something, very few can get to that, Dustin. But just looking at the body type, I can have that one, right?
I guess I was going to compare him maybe to a kind of recent former Noel, Brandon Jenkins, who came in as a highly touted freshman defensive end, and he had the college-ready body type to be able to contribute as a freshman in more of a pass rushing role. So I could see Williams doing a similar thing, because that was one aspect of his game that stood out whenever he was at those camps earlier in June. He was just getting by people off the edge. I mean, not only is he athletic, but he's got that ability to kind of bend around the offensive tackles.
Mm-hmm. So if you're a dreamer, Florida State fans love to dream. That's what they do. That's what Florida State fans do weekly. They do it maybe on a daily basis. Like to dream. What could the future look like with Florida State getting back? What would happen if you got a Trevon Williams over there, and then what about if you had a Marvin Jones Jr. on the other side? I was thinking Mario Edwards Jr. Oopsies, another great defensive end, but you got Marvin Jones Jr. on the left side. What do they call those kind of dreams when you wake up and you might have made an accident in the bed?
It's not where I thought you were going with that.
Is that I don't want to say it live on air, but now I know exactly what it is. But just think about it. You got a chance at a Marvin Jones Jr. What?
You knew what it was before. You just wanted to describe it.
We got a Marvin Jones Jr. on the left side, and you've got a Trevon Williams, another gigantic animal. You got 265, 250 cats on both sides, left and right, coming at a quarterback. That just smells like a wet dream. I don't know if smelling it is the best way of going and describing that, but I'm just saying. But yeah, wouldn't that be amazing though? You got Marvin.
It'd be pretty cool.
Marvin Jones, yeah.
It'd be
pretty cool.
Be awesome.
It'd be awesome. All right, we'll move on from Williams here. We'll move on from Trevon Williams. Sean Sapp. Look at this one. This one actually happened earlier than expected. He was actually going to be making his commitment to Florida State on July 3rd, the day before Florida State's, the United States' big holiday. But he says, you know what? I just need to go ahead and do it. And I feel like this is a guy that was really already heavily leaning towards Florida State. Some people were thinking, Florida was making a good little push there and run at the end, but it seems like Florida State, well, they did. They sealed up things, and Florida State's landing another 4-star offensive lineman in that 2022 class.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty big one. I don't know if you have any huddle clips you want to put up of him, but like you said, 4-star offensive lineman out of Georgia, a teammate of Georgia Tech commit Jaron Willis, who Florida State is heavily trying to flip to join the class. So, Sapp is going to be on him from now, until he signs with whatever school he signs with. But when you look at Sapp on film, the thing that really stood out to me was, and we'll get to see some of it, but his pass blocking. I don't know how much he has on here. Like for a high school offensive lineman, I was pretty impressed with his technique. I mean, he's got a good quick kickback. He can punch, and I mean, he's just a solid overall guy. And I think he can play, really from right tackle to left guard at Florida State. So any of those 4 positions along the offensive line, except for left tackle, is where I could see him slotting in, and we'll just have to see.
I was talking with Nate on our video, giving our instant reaction to Williams committing. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if this kind of momentum and that energy that's happening right now in Tallahassee, around the staff and these recruits being there for their visits, I wonder if Quashawn Sapp's just going to say, screw it. Let's go and make this thing public. And sure enough, he says, you know what? Let's go and get this thing out there so I can start recruiting for my class. That was something that he's been telling a few outlets, that he is wanting to be a recruiting guy. He wants to help out the staff. He wants to be a bell cow for this class next year. And so you can see in some of this tape right here, he kind of just bullies and pushes kids to the ground. I mean, it kind of is a little unfair at times. He'll most likely, like you were saying, I think, D-Lou, that he'll move on the inside with that kind of body type and those shorter arms.
Yeah, that's right. I think, like I said before, I think somewhere in the interior, or at the most, he probably can play some right tackle. So he's another one. Like, we're just going to have to see how it works out when he gets on campus. I think that's what Florida State is going to do with most of these offensive linemen, get them in the fold. And then once they get on campus, try them out at different positions and see what fits them the best.
You were having a pretty you still do. You have a really great relationship with another Florida State offensive lineman that decided to commit, or a recruit that decided to commit to Florida State, and that's Kanaya Charlton, 3-star offensive line guy. And this is a big boy. This is a big dude here that, picks Florida State. Talk us a little bit about, you talking with him and the relationship there, and what made him go ahead and pick Florida State, because he's got actually a substantial amount of offers. We were looking at it before, and one of them, being Alabama, but he has a pretty wide range of offers. Why did he decide to pick, Coach Atkins and FSU?
You want me to read that quote from the other day?
Yeah, I think that would be good. This is a pretty good one here for the podcast. People might not have it.
Let me pull that up. But
yeah.
I mean, Kanaya has been getting recruited, or he was getting recruited by Florida State ever since January 2020. So, I mean, this has been a really long time that he's been building a relationship with the coaching staff and the main guys he talked to. You mentioned Coach Atkins, but also Coach Norvell and Coach Papuchas were really involved in his recruitment. And, it really just came down to how strong that relationship was with Coach Atkins. And Charlton got to come to campus a couple times before the dead period actually was lifted. He came for the spring game and also one of those spring scrimmages, and just got a chance to watch Coach Atkins at work and how he's working with the offensive line and how those guys have improved. And, really, once he got on campus, I mean, that sold it for him, because he actually got a chance to work with Coach Atkins at one of those camps. I think he might have actually had some reps against Trevon Williams that day. So that's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
But so just finally getting to meet him in person, like that pretty much sold it right there. And it was just how, I mentioned it before, but just how genuine the coaches are with him, and that they want the absolute best for him.
I want to share some tape on him too. While we're talking about him, this is some pretty funny stuff too. It just goes to show the size that Florida State's starting to build on that OL. But this is like not even that's hilarious, but it's not really fair.
Just murdering kids in small town Georgia.
Yeah, just falling kind of on kids and planting them into the ground like as seeds. And so this kid is coming off the edge and just really sticks to the ground. Well, I'm looking too, a lot of guys, I'm looking back at this right here. Look at the footwork and the drive that Charlton has. For bigger guys, sometimes you get where it's a little lazy here. And in football, my offensive line was always taught you got to keep driving feet. Even whatever position, you got to keep driving that feet. But watch his feet keep driving, keep going. They're a little wide, but they keep driving. And usually the result in that, with that kind of size, it just pushes you into the ground.
And so I got that quote pulled up here, but this is just from the commitment article of Charlton talking about his relationship with Coach Atkins, and just I would say, how real Coach Atkins can approach a guy on the recruiting trail. So Charlton said, I would say I have the best relationship with Coach Atkins. Just talking with him, he just shows you that he really cares. He'll tell you straight up. I remember what he told me the first time he watched my film. We met up and he told me that my film was terrible. I'd never heard that before because other colleges said it was great. He said it was terrible. Hearing that, it shows me that he really wants the best for me because he was giving me the hard, honest truth about my tape. He wants me to be the best player I can be, and I developed a relationship with him that is like no other.
So that Coach Atkins is keeping it real with them. I love seeing that.
And we've heard about it from
yeah,
how he is with players and at Florida State's practices. I mean, he's tough on guys. He will tell you the hard, honest truth.
Yeah, we have heard a couple of things from, was it from spring camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yep, it was from spring camp, and got to hear a few things and nuggets that how Coach Atkins is during practices, and it's very definitely can't be shared publicly. Just going to stay on the gridiron, but it is very, very interesting to hear a few things, and he keeps it real. That's most certainly, he definitely does keep it real. So
if he's not happy with you, he'll tell you.
Yeah, no, if he's not happy with you, or never mind. I don't think it's good to share. Moving on to the next commitment, Florida State just keeps on rolling here. This was nonstop. I feel like it was just Christmas Day, and I just, oh my God, another present under the Christmas tree. But Florida State lands a target here, a defensive tackle, missing tooth, Bishop Thomas. 3-star defensive tackle. Florida State's been after him quite a bit. They see a lot in him. Coach Hagens gets off the boat. He lands a pretty good one here with Bishop Thomas, and starting to try to build that defensive line unit, which is much needed because it needs some depth.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Bishop Thomas coming in, and maybe he's a little bit undersized for like height-wise of what you want out of a defensive tackle, but he makes up with that with his quick burst off the line of scrimmage and the way he's really just able to squeeze through gaps and make plays off the edge. That was one thing that really stood out to me watching his highlights. But, just talking about the player a little bit, this is a guy originally from Louisiana, now playing his senior season in Florida, Orlando, I think. And he actually played in high school with FSU signee and 4-star defensive end Byron Turner, who has already enrolled on campus this summer. And, those two have a pretty good relationship. So whenever I talked to Bishop earlier this offseason and got to learn a little bit about that, I had a good feeling that he would eventually end up at FSU. And it was good to see him go ahead and make that official on Saturday, because this is a guy that, he grew up actually watching Florida State. So this is a dream come true for him. I remember, I think we talked in March, and we were actually talking about Florida State's run in the tournament because they had just played that first game, and he was like talking about stats and players on the team. And I was like, man, this guy really does pay attention to Florida State. So really happy to see him join the class.
Yeah, no, looking at the film here, I mean, violent.
And that can be said for every guy we've pulled up so far. I mean, these are some physical football players that want to hit you in the mouth.
Yeah, that's something that we've seen a trend of in the last.
I believe he works a little bit at H-back and tight end on here as well.
Yep. Here's him disrupting a whole entire play. That's something that's kind of like my first the emphasis that I get out of his film is
he's about to knock a guy out, I think, or run someone over.
Bop. Absolutely.
For a second guy.
Yeah, like a bull coming straight at you, just runs him over.
Now you can catch a pass.
Now we're going to catch a pass as a tight end. You're all going to hang on me about
10 people.
12. 12 he's dragging with him down here. Oh, my. Here he is. Now tight end again. And, hey, look, just a little fly.
I mean,
go out and touchdown. He got some speed on him.
Like these
for a big boy.
The coaching staff, I mean, they're just recruiting football players. Like, they don't have to play the position they're being recruited at. They just have to be a damn good football player.
Yeah. And here we'll show another one here. Now he's at the slot. Slot, and you're going to have about 4 more of you on me.
And he's not even down.
And he rolls down. But it goes to show, man, these players that Norvell is after, and, Bishop Thomas obviously going to stay at defensive tackle, but he's getting some skilled guys, some guys that can work different positions. There's all different kinds of abilities these players are able to do. Like I said, Thomas is going to stay a defensive tackle, but it just goes to show these guys, can work a lot of different intricacies. I didn't get to see that one. Did he just run over someone?
Just put his shoulder in him.
And we'll watch this one area up. So this quarterback's in trouble. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hold up real quick. I got to go back and see this. Is this kid all right? What number is this quarterback wearing?
Couldn't show the aftermath of this play.
Oh my goodness.
He come from that far.
Right here. This right shoulder. He's already thinking about it. I'm about to literally obliterate this kid and might put him.
If I'm the quarterback, I'm throwing that ball. What is he doing?
Yeah, the ball is not even close. He's got already 10 coming at him, but I'm worrying about big boy over here.
I think he's getting ejected for that one in college.
Yeah, he might be.
Got the head down a little bit.
It's a little unfair. Boom! Oh, that kid is in half. His arm is flailing, and Bishop's still standing up. Oh my goodness gracious! So violence
and an interception.
Violence is what we're putting together here for Bishop Thomas. I'll take that.
Well, let's pull up Woody's film. Oh my! Did you see that?
Yeah. No, let's go back and look at it because we love big hits here at Null Game Day. Let's see. This is the best part.
Some people are like, well, he's a 3-star defensive tackle, and you're like, put on the damn tape.
Yeah, no, that's what Nate was talking about.
3-star to me.
Oh my goodness. Is that kid's leg? Okay, well, I didn't really want to see that, Dustin. This kid's leg just went snapped half and half.
Did it really?
Jesus, yeah, this kid's ACL's done. Woo, Lord.
I wasn't looking that hard.
Obviously. Anyways, let's move on to the next commitment here that Florida State was able to land. And this one right here, woo, boy, talk about just violent and mean and just really just a mean person in general on the football field. Ontavious Woody, 4-star offensive lineman. Some people, he's played a little bit of defensive end too. Some people want him on the defensive side. Nate wants him on the defensive side. Some people want him on the offensive line. Florida State is recruiting him as an offensive lineman. For right now, they're having him at offensive line. But this is a guy that a lot of schools are heavily after. This is a guy that's a lot of different colleges are after him for. But mainly Florida State gets him at offensive line. D-Lou, how do you think about this pickup for FSU?
It's crazy, not just because there's another 4-star offensive lineman in the fold, but you think about it, Woody was the 5th guy to commit to Florida State. He committed on Monday, and he was the 5th guy to commit since Friday night. So just so many commits, coming in a little flurry right there. And, you already said it. This is a violent guy who loves to go out there and lay people out no matter which side of the ball. And Florida State, for now, they're going to take him as an offensive lineman. But, you look at the board and, let's say Daughtry Richardson, Jalen Early, Elijah Pritchett all want to become Seminoles. That gets you up to, I believe, either 7 or 8 offensive linemen. I'm spitballing here. At that point, there's a chance he could flip over to the defensive side of the ball and probably play defensive tackle at a quality level for Florida State. So we'll just have to see. It's going to depend how things shake out down the road.
Yeah. So Ontavious Woody, we'll share the screen here, and y'all will be able to see. I don't know if we might lose our YouTube account, but luckily Twitter, they'll allow you to see people getting their legs cut off. So, but YouTube, we might lose our account. I've been trying so hard to grow our YouTube, but we might just say goodbye to it. But let's go ahead and pull up Ontavius's film here. Please don't take down our account. But here is Ontavius Woody going to work. I'll go back to this right here. We'll start off from the beginning. I think this one is where he just slings the player, just like, all right, I'm tired of you, bye. Did that ever happen to you?
I think I was too big for someone to suplex me.
Too big. Here he is driving this kid into the chain gang. I think one of the chain gang members might have gone down with him. This one's pretty funny. So here, I believe this is him right here. This is Woody. No, it's not. Woody is... Where is Woody?
I think that was him.
Oh, that was Woody. Yep, that was Woody. There's another play that's kind of like this where he's kind of just tosses a kid into the sideline for about 15 yards. Let's see here. And here we go. And to the puddle of water right there. Look at this. Think.
Jeez.
Oh, man. Love it. Love it. Here he is. That O-line driving this poor kid. That looks like you, Dustin. That just...
I would have done better than that. I would have just fell down, took his legs out.
Yeah, rolled.
Exactly.
Yeah, just rolled down into a
I didn't learn how to do barrel rolls for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, I mean, I suggest a lot of you guys, while you're watching or you have time throughout the rest of maybe this weekend, you guys watch a lot of these latest commits in their tape because, man, oh, man, the violence that this kid brings and a lot of these kids, these latest commits bring is ridiculous, man. Yeah. It is crazy. I love it. I love violence because my favorite player is always going to be Timmy Jernigan. I wore number 8 because of him in high school, and he was a very violent player. Just didn't really give a damn about what you thought. Didn't give a damn how your family was doing. Really didn't give a damn at all. And I'm in love.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between wanting to go play football and wanting to go knock someone's head off. And these guys, when they get on the field, they legitimately want to stop someone's heart from beating. So I'd be terrified.
Jesus. God almighty. A little nerve-wracking. Moving on from that, we've had a pretty interesting couple segments here. Florida State, does seem like there might be some more momentum. There's been some speculation that there might be some more commits this upcoming weekend. Like Quashawn Sapp said that he was going to commit on July 3rd. That didn't end up happening, but there's been a few commits, in that 2022 class that said that there's going to be a good weekend for Florida State. Are you hearing anything, D-Lou, on what Florida State is there? Could there be more on the horizon? Could this be another fun weekend for the Noles?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say hearing anything, but right now, the only commitment that could potentially happen for Florida State is 2022 tight end Jarrell Powers, who is planning to commit at some point on Friday. And right now it's coming down to Florida State, Colorado, Oregon State, and Arkansas for the chance to land his commitment on Friday. And, he officially visited Florida State last weekend, really enjoyed the visit. Also has officially visited, my God, Colorado.
Visited?
He's also officially visited Colorado and Oregon State. But Powers really seemed to enjoy the visit to FSU. He came with his mom, his dad, and his brother on the trip, and they were all really sold on Florida State and what the program has to offer as well. And the coaching staff sat down and had a really good conversation with them about how they plan to use him, kind of similar to Cam McDonald in the offense if he was to commit to FSU. So, I think FSU has a really good plan for him, and we'll just have to see how things shake out tomorrow. But, a couple days ago, whenever I spoke with him, he did name FSU his leader going into this announcement. So feeling positive about where the Seminoles stand.
Welcome, Nate, to the show. Nice to have you. A little late night work trip.
No, you can see that little Well, 13 hours, never hurt
Woo!
nobody.
And what a better, is there any better way to enjoy that, just to come straight here and hang out with us? Your two favorites, Logan and Dustin.
Yeah, just what I look for every Thursday is to listen to Dustin and look at your stupid hat and haircut.
You can't even look at my
And
hat,
his legs.
my haircut. Well, he doesn't get to see my legs.
Hey, the microphone looks great, Dustin. The microphone looks awesome.
Thank you for that.
You look professional.
I appreciate that.
Nate, we were talking about powers, but I want to go back, we talked about it a lot when we were doing the instant reaction to these commitments, but Florida State is bringing in some violent guys at offensive line and defensive tackle. If you wanted to give your take on that, because we just got done watching Bishop Thomas, and then we also watched Woody. I mean, these are some violent guys that are on the offensive line. I mean, Kanaya Charlton just doesn't look like he's fair. It's not even fair.
Mm-hmm.
But, maybe speak on that violence that Florida State's bringing.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about Monday on the Mark Rogers show, one thing that we talked about on this podcast and I talked about on the Unconquered Talk podcast is kind of how mentally soft a little bit this team has been. Call it what it is. It's true. Physically, they just haven't had that edge that you expect from a Florida State team. And they're addressing those concerns with some of those guys that are coming in this class. And, even last class, you have a lot of those really physical, violent football players. And just last weekend was full of it. You have, Charlton, who's a human pancake machine. You have, Sapp, who is super talented and can play across any position while he's interior. Woody, he's just super all about putting you in the dirt. You talk about Bishop Thomas and his ability to use his hands. It's pretty advanced for, a defensive lineman going into a senior year of high school, which bodes well for him, probably contributing a little bit earlier than people think. And then you look at a guy like Trevon Williams, who's just physically fits the part of a college-ready defensive end who, he chooses violence every time he goes on the football field. So all of these guys have that college-ready mentality, and I think all of them have a body that will allow them to contribute early. I think Charlton needs to work on a few things, but, he's not a real sloppy 340, 350, whatever it is. I mean, he's just a big kid. And they're different linemen than what Florida State's brought in recently. Let's just call it what it is. They're just physically dominant, blue chip offensive linemen, and Florida State really hasn't landed those on a consistent basis. It's Jimbo, so it's an exciting time. Defensive line, offensive line are always the hardest positions to evaluate and to really hit on. But Florida State has a good start with what they're trying to do on offense, especially. I do like Woody on defense. I know there's some people who talk about him, with his long arms being a guard. I can see that, but I like him as a D tackle. He is just a mean person on the football field, and I like that. I think he, wants to dominate you physically on the football field, and I just like him on defense. I just like it. I like him more. I know that you mentioned Timmy Jernigan. I won't go that far yet, but I understand the comparison in terms of that mental approach to the game and the wants to just physically dominate you. Timmy's just on another level of another guy, of a lot of guys. But I agree that, he has that same kind of mindset, but I'm excited about all those takes for the weekend. I think, they're all quality takes. They're all guys Florida State's been on for a while. And Woody is like an ace in the hole. You look at, still working on Pritchett. Florida State is in a good spot with Pritchett. Still working on Armella. Florida State is, they hit a grand slam on that Midnight Madness visit, or midnight, whatever you want to call it. You have Emory Jones that they're pushing for. out of Louisiana. You have Jalen Early, who Florida State feels good about coming off that visit. So, you have a lot of moving parts that Florida State still is working on in terms of adding pieces to that offensive line. So, Woody can come in and play offense if you need it. But if you land a couple more of those guys that I just mentioned, you can put him on D-line and not skip a beat.
Yeah, and that's one thing I actually mentioned earlier. And you talking about Early kind of reminded me, going back to Powers. Powers and Jalen Early are high school teammates at Duncanville High School. So, if he does decide to commit to Florida State tomorrow, he's going to be heavily recruiting Early to join him, who right now I believe is going to be committing on August 2nd. And that goes back to kind of what I was saying about Kashawn Sapp a little bit ago. Now that he's officially in the fold and a Seminole, he's going to be working on Jaron Willis, up until signing day to try and secure that flip. So I think it's huge for Florida State to be recruiting two guys from the same high school, because if they get one, the other guy can, just continue to pursue his teammate and say, man, come keep playing with me, play with me in college.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of blue chip guys that they're going after. And like I said, Florida State hasn't had that in a while. It's actually, it's not an offensive line class that's full of projects. So
I guess
it's really good to see.
So we're talking about all this recruiting momentum, and Florida State up to number 3 in the country. They've got 14 verbal commitments, could be 15 depending on how things go tomorrow. So you're looking at 15 verbal commitments early in July. And to me, moving closer to the season, that with so many guys committed, you kind of have a chance to really put a lot more attention on the top guys that haven't yet made their decisions. So, I mean, just do you think it's a good strategy for Florida State to have all these guys in the fold already?
I kind of mentioned it on the Mark Rogers show that I think it's the way that college football is moving to, is a lot of these coaches with the early signing day. It allows them to kind of focus on you get the guys you want in early, get them firmed up. You're not going to say locked in, because things can always change and decommitments happen. Out of everyone who's committed right now, the 14, not all of them are going to sign with Florida State. It's just the way it happens.
Were you watching the show earlier? Because you're saying a lot of stuff that we already said.
No, but well, I'm reiterating then. I think that it's just where college football is moving to, with the arms race that's kind of turning into, with everything going on with, players being able to benefit off their name, all et cetera, et cetera. I just think it's turning into a desire to get your class locked up as early as possible, so you can work on those high-hanging fruit guys, but also work on the next class. That's what Alabama has done so well, is they get guys in, done, moving on. They have a few pieces left, but they're also have already started working on the next class when everyone's trying to finish up the current class. So that's just the way it's moving to, and I like it. It allows you to focus on the Colemans, the Armellas, the Marvin Jones Juniors, the guys that are, extremely important to this class. It allows you just to make all the focus on them, or, not to say where it needs to be, but where it allows you to put more, more tools in the tool belt and get the I'm not going to say pressure, but the pressure on those guys to really feel FSU. So
while we're on the recruiting front too, I thought we'd bring up, and this has been messaged a ton on Instagram for the last couple of weeks since recruiting has been jumping off like crazy. But out of the rest of the recruits that are out there that aren't committed in the 2022 class, what would be y'all's top 5 personally that you think would be the best gets for FSU and their needs? There's a lot of guys out there. We've been talking about them for months that, still haven't committed to Florida State. Who would be y'all's top 5 starting from maybe the bottom to number 1?
You can go, Dustin.
Maybe starting from 5.
Should I read them all 5 out at once, or?
Yeah.
Who would be your?
So why don't I just do it from 1 to 5 instead of 5 to 1? That's stupid.
I'm trying to have fun here, Dustin. I know you don't like math and like the different kind of things and the intricacies of some more fun.
It's just
but,
too hard. I
that
wrote
makes it
down
so there's
an
some
order.
like there could be like some like overwhelming sense of dang. I wonder what Dustin's going to be at number 4. What he's going to pick at 3, 2. Dustin, what are you going to pick at 1? Go ahead.
I'm not going to allow you to clickbait more people next week, so I'm just going to read it out.
Clickbait. Well, I'm going to get
so
them.
this is from 1 to 5, most important to 5th. I'm not going to say
all
least
right,
important because these
go
are all
ahead.
important guys. But so I will say Marvin Jones at number 1, Kevin Coleman at number 2, Elijah Pritchett at number 3, Jaleel Skinner at number 4, and Katron Allen at number 5.
Katron Allen. Okay.
Running back.
Ooh. Is your seem around the same to you, Nate? Who would be like your top 3? And I mean, you can say your 5, obviously.
So how could I get 5? If you got 5, I get 5.
Yeah.
Actually, you get 6 now, Nate, because Dustin's being mean.
Number 1 is the same guy that should be coming in is Marvin Jones Jr. Nothing different than I'm going to say that what I've said the past 4 weeks is the importance of need at position and also just the legacy and the way it would look missing out on him. On number 2, I will say I actually will put I got Coleman number 2 also, especially with hey guys, that's a house phone, guys. That's a house phone on you.
I can't believe this is still real.
That is a house phone.
I feel like you're pranking me.
And then I think Coleman is just because of what's going on with Hill and the not sure what's going on with him. At number 3, I'll put Julian Armella. Just put him there. Number 4, I'll put Elijah Pritchett. And number 5, I'm actually going to go. I think I'll go with. Man, it's hard.
It's a good question, huh? Good question. Instagram family. I'm a pretty good question for you guys.
I'm gonna go Nigel Kelly because I still think that the kid is super gifted. I think that he's a guy who's going to just dominate in college, and I would love for Florida State to get back on him. As a couple honorable mentions, I put Damari Austin. I like him at running back, and then I would also put Jaleel Skinner.
Jaleel Skinner. Yeah, Jaleel Skinner. I'm surprised Skinner's not higher up in your top 5. Is there a reason for that?
Well, you talk about need.
Yeah.
In terms of like what's needed. He's a really, you always need the number 1 tight end in the country. But in my opinion, there's some higher needs there with the offensive line just, improving in the trenches and getting better. Adding, arguably the top playmaker at wide receiver in the class, adding one of the best defensive ends in the class, one of the highest, quickest emerging defensive ends in Florida and nationally. And Kelly, I just, I'm looking at the trenches, and that's what Florida State hasn't done well over the last few years. It's just on the both sides of the ball. So for me, that's what they got to do to get back to the elite of college football.
What do you think right now for Skinner, the chances, and this is for you too, Dealey, what do you think the chances are with Skinner? Because right now I think if we were going to look at
I would say
Kevin Coleman,
97.85%.
97 point, wow.
0.85.
And they're looking at Florida State's looking at Skinner as a wide receiver, if I'm correct, right?
Sure.
That's correct.
Okay. And then you also would be bringing in, what's your percentage on Kevin Coleman, Nate? Since you were high on him on Mark Rogers' show.
Hold on 1 second.
Go ahead. What would it be yours, D-Lou? Because for me, I feel like Florida State has a better chance at Coleman than Skinner.
I'm not like Nate. I'm not going to put a percentage on it, like 97.83% or something. I'm just not going to do that. But I feel, I would say at the end of June, I feel a lot better about where Florida State stands with Coleman than entering the month, just because obviously they got him down there for Midnight Madness on that visit. It seemed like he really enjoyed it. His family really enjoyed it. And I think Coleman himself might be sold on Florida State, But right now, you're trying to sell his family on them allowing him to go there, and with the development coming out that he did not work out at Alabama this June, and currently might not be a take there. I think that just has to improve Florida State's chances even more with them.
My percentage on Coleman. See, I'm not going to be a bitch like other people and put in a crystal ball or a prediction and change it. I'm going to write it out the whole way. I've been bullish on Coleman in FSU. I'm going to go 95.593% chance that he ends up at Florida State.
You're really fighting with your own self.
On
just figuring out what you're going to have
96, but not everything is a sure deal. No, but I think that it's a lot to be said for him to be there on once the dead period is lifted. He's right at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I think it says a lot.
I do too. Yeah.
I don't necessarily buy that he's not a take at Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just think that things are trending in the right direction for Florida State. But the caveat is with all this is that Florida State has to show improvement on the field. It doesn't. If they go 3-9 or 4-8 and look like shit, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. It's going to be decommit city.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State has to show improvement on the field. They have to make a bowl game this season in order to keep everything intact.
Yeah, no, they have to look competitive, definitely in that Notre Dame game to start off with. I can't wait until we start, previewing that. We go through position by position too and get our season previews going. But in order, like recruiting wise, this has got to happen. You're looking at two extremely talented, targets, weapons that you're going to have for, AJ Duffy coming in. That's insanity. Florida State isn't used to doing this. This was now at this case, almost 10 years ago. I mean, you look at Coleman here, rated as arguably the best wide receiver in the country, and then you've got Jaleel Skinner, the number one tight end / kind of hybrid wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy, but you've got to stay competitive in that Notre Dame game.
Yeah, because if your plan is to have 100+ recruits on campus, you can't have a Virginia Tech game.
It kills everything.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely shatters it.
So,
it's literally the most important game of the season.
Yep.
It's crazy. Can't wait, though. Stress everywhere. Let's move on here to, some big things. That is one of the biggest things. This is July 1st. So we've got the big day, Florida State, along with tons of other colleges across the country, get to start their NIL that went public with the NCAA. Now, players are able to get paid for their name, image, and likeness. This is pretty big. This is big. The changing of college football alone. This is something that has been, a lot of players have been fighting for in the last decade, if not really intensively, last 5 years. And now, you're looking at Florida State players right off the bat, along with other big-time players in college football, even little ones, even volleyball players, even you're looking at tennis players, swimmers. I mean, they're all out there now making brand deals with a lot of other places. I just thought we'd kind of have a discussion here and look at it. Starting off with Mackenzie Milton is going to be launching his own NFT next week. He'll be the first college football player to do that. I thought that was pretty interesting and cool to see. He'll be the first one to drop a non-fungible token. If nobody knows about that, it's something where you can buy. It sounds crazy, and it's going to sound crazy while I'm describing it, but you practically are able to go in and buy a digital image. It could be a GIF, it could be a video, and you actually own that. Nobody else can have that. It's kind of like having a Pokemon card, or you're getting a basketball card, a rookie card, and only you will own that, but it's just in digital form, and that's what he's going to be launching an auction for next week, an NFT. He joined a company that I'm looking at right here called Dreamfield. He actually is now not only joined it, but he is co-founding it with a fellow Miami guy, Nate, down there with the Hurricanes with Derek King. They're both co-founders in this company. And, it's another way. It's a kind of another way for Florida State players, along with other NCAA athletes, to go in here and get bookings for, you're looking at all different kinds of things.
We get it, man.
Someone's got to explain it, because Nate hates it. Nate hates it, obviously.
No, I want to say whatever Florida State fans bitching and moaning about him joining up with the Derek King needs to get a grip.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit?
They're trying to make money.
It's not going to make them. It's not going to take the competitive edge off the field. That's just really stupid. But I think it's about time that these players get paid for, because college football is not an amateur sport. I don't give a shit what you say. The amount of money that these schools make, the argument is the same it's always been. The profitability these colleges make off these guys, not allowing them to have a job or to support themselves, whether it's right or wrong. A lot of these guys come from poor income families that don't have shit. So a lot of these players send home their stipends so the moms can support their families. So it's about time these players get to earn money, because all of their time and effort is put in to football, basketball, baseball, soccer, female soccer, all of them. That's all they do is focus on their sport. Not all of them are going to be making money off their likeness. That's just how it is. But these big-time college players, they deserve it. And while they're at it, they should give Reggie Bush his Heisman back, because the fact that they're going to allow these guys to get paid now, but they're going to take away his Heisman because he got a hookup, when it's quite known that that's just the way it is in college football. I'm sorry. If you don't think that your favorite school doesn't do it, you should stop following college sports. It's about time these guys can get paid for everything they do. So I love to see it. I hope that they are able to support themselves and support their families. And I hope some of them find those big deals. I hope that Mackenzie Milton finds that place that pays him $2,000 an hour. That would be phenomenal. I really hope that it happens for them, because, they deserve it. And they get a free education. I understand that. That is a part of it. But let's be real. The majority of these guys are going to college for one thing, and that's to play football, to try to make it to the NFL. A lot of them, the degree is secondary. Not everyone's a minor role. Not everyone is, as focused on education as they are in their sport. So let's just all have a reality check now.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I completely agree with you. It's great to have that athletic scholarship. It's great for a lot of these athletes that they're going to be able to go through college, without student debt and everything. The scholarships are great. But at the same time, a lot of these guys don't have a lot of spending money, or they have family members that aren't well off. And if they could make a profit off their likeness like they can now they can support those family members. And, I just think in the long run, this is going to help out a lot of athletes, because this doesn't just apply to the guys in college. This also now applies to prospective recruits that are considering Florida State and other colleges. And I just really think, opening up the income stream for these guys who, like you said, Nate, so much of their time is taken up by playing football and all the things that come with it, the off-season conditioning, the practices, the weightlifting. They don't have a lot of time to go out there and work a normal job. So just giving them this opportunity, it's going to completely revolutionize college athletics, in my opinion. I think now, the power really is starting to be shifted into the hands of the players, and that's how this game should be.
Yeah, no, it opens up a lot, man. This changes college football quite a bit. I think it's more of the better than what I think some people are saying. It's a smaller amount of people that are doing it and tweeting and whatever, but they're saying it's going to be a negative effect on college football. But this was going to come either way. I mean, a lot of stuff is changing nowadays, and there's so many more opportunities to make money. Definitely, as a younger person, you can make money like this. But the whole factor of this might even help businesses too. Local businesses can really take advantage of this too, and I think it helps a lot for college towns.
Yeah, I was just saying that Carlos isn't on tonight because I would really like to hear his opinion on how it would have made his time in college different. Because
Agreed.
I could tell stories, tell stories of recruits I've stayed in contact with, and then stay friends with them throughout the college experience, and just how much they struggle just to get by because they get dog crap for their time and effort and focus and everything. So, and we've all been college students, just being a college student in general, the focus you have to put on there for your, to really focus and get the grades you want to get. It's a lot of time, and they're held accountable to hold a certain GPA, have to go to, study halls and tutoring and all this stuff. It's just so much time. So I'm happy for them.
One of the things that was going on tonight is a local place, Miller's Ale House, and this was majority of the Dreamland crew that is there. And, you've got Devontae Love Taylor, you've got Jordan Travis, who's also over here on the side, Karen McDonald, who has always been working on his brand since a couple of years now. He's been working on that. He's also got his own YouTube over there. You got also Milton. Milton's actually charging $2K an hour for whatever that's going to mean. I don't know if that's just a meetup.
We'll never get him on this show.
No, not with my cheap ass. I don't think that's going to work. We got to fix that pay rate there, hourly rate, Mackenzie. Then maybe we'll be able to grab you on here. But you also got walk on Gino English over here. This is also this is kind of the opportunity here for restaurants to take advantage of. You've got local businesses that can do this, and from what a person there covering it said, that there was not, they weren't paying anybody to come do autographs tonight. It seems like Miller's Ale House hooked the whole thing up. There was people getting autographs for the last couple of hours. I don't know if they're still there or not, but it's really cool to see.
We better get one of these guys to do our intro because all these other FSU podcasts are going to do it.
Yeah, well, I would hate to remove Deion Sanders from our intro and put in Gino English.
It's time to update it, bro.
I don't think so. I get compliments all the time about our intro. You're going to start getting killed in the reviews. People, that's about the number one thing people give us a 5-star for. That's the only thing, Nate.
Why? Because of Deion Sanders?
Deion Sanders, Peter Ward, Charlie Ward.
That's great. So,
James Alder Jr. And then Gino English.
Throw in Amari Gaynor or
Dontavius Jackson.
Yeah, throw in someone. You pay him a couple $100, man. All these FSU podcasts are going to do it, so just be ready.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of things. I've already got a few ideas in mind.
Hey, this is the XXXX.
Whoa,
blah, blah,
whoa.
blah, 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 blah.
Whoa. XXX. What are we moving into now?
I had to censor myself from mentioning like a specific walk-on. I didn't want to make fun, so.
Jeez. Oh, my goodness gracious. Dustin, you shared a little funny story with me that I thought was hilarious. You might be able to describe it a little bit more before I go to my DMs here. But, this is a hilarious reason of using your first NIL.
So the thing about NIL to me is like it's so new and you just really it's day one. So we really don't know how guys are going to be able to really utilize this yet. And I think it could lead to, a lot of funny sponsorships or just like some hilarious things. So Logan, go ahead and put it up.
Yeah, let me go and share the screen here.
I'm not sure. Funny. I have no idea who this person is. I was just on Twitter earlier and I saw this. But so Nick Wagman, this is his first NIL sponsorship. As a student athlete, I'm honored to use the new NIL laws to partner with my first brand. At Kyle Solomon 5 needs help finding a girlfriend. Any girls out there interested? Hit his DMs. #ad. I mean, this is untapped greatness. We're going to have some things come out of this. It's going to be hilarious.
You got a homie in the frat, let's say You got, say Gainer's in a frat. He's got a friend there. He's having a hard time finding a lady. It's hard to do in Tallahassee at FSU, but he's having a tough time. Boom, $15 on Venmo. Boom, I'll put out a tweet for you to help you out. And dang, you've got like 5-10 DMs for you. Shoot, Nate, you could have utilized that quite a bit back in your day.
Utilize what?
Getting help on getting some.
Man, get out of here, dude. Man, Logan.
Man. What do you want? What do you? I know it's been a 13-hour day. But like you said, you get to enjoy it with us. We make you smile and happy.
I just don't need no stupid ass comments like that.
I thought they were accurate. Going on to the next one.
You're wrong.
Yeah, right. You're
wrong.
smiling. You're smiling.
because yeah. Move on.
I'll see you at the tailgate. Am I up next on the list?
For what?
Am I on the card for the boxing match?
Man, apparently I'm being booked for something.
We gotta start getting some sponsorships going there for that.
We forgot to mention this one, but another way that the NIL is being utilized is athletes are signing deals to work with different websites. So, for instance, today, I believe it was stockrisers.com announced that FSU basketball players Matthew Cleveland and Cam Fletcher will be doing a weekly blog about their experiences with FSU basketball, as well as some kind of video content as well. So,
That's
Logan,
good.
go get us some help. Get some of these guys come in and help write some
It's kind of like how we had, with Luke Altmaier doing his blog. He did a weekly or a monthly, one time a month blog and kind of gave the rundown of what he's doing in high school, his relationship with Florida State, how that's going, what the coaches are telling them to work on. It's kind of like that. I think it's going to be, I don't know, it's so early on to tell how this is going to work, but now recruits can kind of do almost the same thing. The NCAA is allowing it.
That will be, will lean towards being politically correct. They're not gonna. I think they'll be very guarded in what they say.
Yeah, most likely.
Quick question here, real quick. This was from earlier, but this is from our guys. Am I cool? He's asking, Logan, is Skinner a silent commit? What do you guys think on that?
At a 97%. At a 97% confidence, I'm pretty set on it right now.
97.36?
8.3, I think I said, whatever I said.
97. You agreeing with Nate Delu?
I will say that I do not think that Skinner is silently committed to Florida State at this time, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happens on his official.
10-4. One last thing here.
I think Dustin's stupid.
Well, I mean, I can't argue with that.
One last thing with the NIL. It's craziness going on today. It was told, Kurt Weiler was there from Tallahassee Democrat and talked with Devontae Love Taylor, and he mentioned that he will only be doing this kind of stuff, only the NIL stuff, during the off season. He won't be doing it during the season. This is all up to the players, of course, on what they want to do and how they want to take care of their time and such. But I thought that was a pretty interesting thing there from a Devontae Love Taylor's point of view. He's going to be making sure this is done once football season gets started. He'll be just focusing on it during the off season. So thought I'd mention that before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I may be wrong for saying this, but I don't really care. I've been on the block a little bit longer than y'all. So while they're at it, just legalize marijuana and let these kids be college football players.
Man,
they should
Dustin, you worried about my clickbait? Man, I got it this week, baby.
They
legalize drugs for college football players.
Well,
it's like clickbait. No, go ahead. I think it's a good conversation to have. Look at the NBA and then now the NFL's.
Let's just be serious for a second, okay? Let's real talk. Percentage-wise, I like to hear out of the 85 scholarship football players Florida State has, or any school. Let's not just say FSU. Any school. How much do you think participate in the usage of the plant?
Well, I would say 0, because that would be against the rules.
Yeah, we're having a serious conversation here. If you don't want to participate, put mute on. Logan,
I think it's at I think there's a high. I think there's a high percentage. I think there's a high percentage if you look back at
like what? High? Like higher than 75.
I'd say right now. I'd say on FS. Oh my god! On a college football team, I say 60%. I'm keeping it as well. In like 5 years, it'll be different. I'll be able to tell. I'll be able to say blah blah blah, smoking this, blah blah blah. But right now, got to be this way. I would say 60%.
Yeah,
of a college football team.
I'll say the majority. Okay, the majority. So I think it's stupid that these college football players are getting in trouble for it. When now you've seen the NFL back up off it, the NBA. You know, I don't particularly participate in smoking of the herb. It's just not my thing. But I understand the alternative versus pain pills and all that kind of stuff. That's where I'm coming from on it. You know, a lot of a lot of people been out of shape about, Calvin Johnson saying that he smoked weed every day. Who cares? The alternative was the opioids and everything. A lot of these guys do it. Yeah, because whatever. It's part of them growing up, but a lot of them do it for the pain relief. So some of these kids are getting in trouble because they're trying to find an alternative to taking Oxycontin or hydrocodone because they're hurt. So I think while now they're getting paid, they should not get suspended or kicked off teams for weed. If they're dealing it, that's a different story. But if they are participating to try to find an alternative medicine versus pain pills, I think that it's time to visit that too.
So just to wrap this up, I would like to explain to the viewers that the NIL rules do not allow drug dealing.
So still that is not allowed in it. But no, it's a conversation that is going to be the next one, though. It kind of is going in tiers now, but it is growing and growing and growing.
No, but
because you're watching the NFL start to make some changes in that too. You
have to think as a competitive advantage. Because whether we want to talk about it, if you want to get real and have a real discussion about it, it's still part of what these kids do, whether we like it or not. It's going to be an advantage for state schools that can allow players to make money, and then they don't have the laws that really can get you in trouble for, a dime sack. Sorry, This discussion just went completely off base. But
I like it. We need you work more 13-hour shifts.
What's happening?
I felt that, it just popped in my head. If we're going to really just allow these kids to get paid, it's time to take off the other stupid rule, and that's weed.
Man. See, this is why we're different than other podcasts. It's just a little bit different.
I'm just telling you,
I think it's a good conversation.
Keep my mouth shut.
Oh well, dang, Dustin. I feel like you'd have a pretty interesting point of view on it out of all of us on here, but I think you're being silent on us.
I was going to say, what about cocaine?
Okay, now we need to move on. Really. Well, real quick. Speaking of, okay, I need to watch. Some not so great news to kind of finish us off. Then we'll go into some really good news before we go into basketball real quick. But some news earlier this morning, Tamarion Terry. I hate that we're leading. We're leading.
I got to get off here.
Yeah, go ahead. After this. But yeah, Tamarion Terry. Well, I tweeted yesterday, Tamarion Terry was let go from the Seahawks. He was waived, and I was like, that kind of almost a little shocked me a little bit. Some people were expecting it, but I thought that was pretty interesting because I thought he'd do very well with the Seahawks there if he just stayed on course.
Just to interject real quick, why did you tweet about Tamarion Terry getting released? Because I know you didn't break the news. Just chasing that clout.
Because I cover Florida State athletics, and he was a former.
Could have just retweeted.
No, because it was from a site that I didn't really want to retweet to allow to get ad views. But let me say real quick before Tamarion Terry, he was indicted on a felony murder charge. Yeah, indicted. Sorry, indicted. Indicted. Is that better for you, Nate? Indicted on a felony murder charge He was
Wow,
around
man.
along with 11 people, and the investigation happened back in a 2018 shooting, which he was a redshirt freshman at Florida State then.
I think it's sad, man. I hate it for him, man. I hate it because the guy has all the talent in the world to be a really good football player. The tail end of his career at Florida State, went sour in some fans' eyes, but I think he really gutted out that Notre Dame game, and I had a lot of respect for him after that game, just for his pushing through that. I hate it because he busted his ass to, get to Florida State and maintain his grades and push through everything. And then, a lot of these kids just can't leave that life at home, man. It sucks. I believe in, innocent until proven guilty, but 11 guys being indicted, and just you read the articles that are out today, it just seems like that it's going to be a tough road to hoe for him, and it's really kind of sad to see.
Yeah, that talent, that was at Florida State, man, and I hate hearing this kind of news. We won't go into deep. It's not our. We're not in the kind of news business like this, so I would suggest y'all just go read up on your own stuff. It's not our area, but it just absolutely stinks to hear this kind of news for a guy with such crazy talent, man. And I was hoping that he was going to excel there in Pete Carroll's offense in Seattle. I thought it was a beautiful spot for him.
Hey, yeah, opposite, Metcalf with Wilson, and then a really solid running game. The fact that Wilson likes to stretch the field, it fits him. It was a really good fit, but damn.
And it might have been going very well for him up there, but it's something that has happened way back in 2018, and that's what got him, and it just sucks to see. So,
and before I get off here, I wonder if the NFL does such a great job of background checks. I wonder if that's why he didn't get drafted. I wonder if there was something going on. If
there had to have been, maybe that's a good point.
I wonder if they found out about something. They find out everything about you. It's like the FBI, really. They find out everything about you. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know for sure. I'm just.
Well, Nate is. Well, we just lost Nate. I bet his phone died. His phone definitely died. I love how it just plops him out of there. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Bye, Nate. Hope you sleep good. Good seeing you. But I wanted to jump in here real quick to kind of go from that not so fun news to hear to some awesome news. I woke up. I didn't even tweet it today. I didn't get my clout really fully, Dustin, because this tweet was going to be fire. College football returns next month, D-Lou.
Oh, yeah, I guess it does.
Next month, college football. College football's back, baby. It's coming. It's crazy to think that we'll have a game next month, and it feels good.
Over the weekend, I actually learned that my fiance, she's going to be out of town the weekend of the Notre Dame game. So I am pretty excited. I'm going to have the whole – I guess that'll probably be the second Saturday of the season. But to me, that's really week one because you're going to have, Alabama, Miami, and then I forget who Clemson's playing, but there's some really good kickoff day games on that Saturday that I'm really looking forward to watching. Then the next day I'll just be able to mosey on over to the stadium, watch Florida State play Notre Dame at night. It's going to be a nice time. Can't wait.
And then you're going to do the instant reaction for us at 2 a.m., right? Now we can discuss it later. Don't worry. We can talk about it. But going back to, next month, there actually being football. The games that will be played are Nebraska at Illinois. That's at 1 p.m. on Fox. You've got UConn at Fresno State, 2 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. At 3:30, we got a little Hawaii at UCLA. little primetime afternoon matchup on ESPN. And then to finish off the night, we got a big time primetime games here. UTEP at New Mexico State at 9:30. Come on now. We love our friends over there in New Mexico State. And then you've also got Southern Utah at San Jose State at 10 p.m. on CBS Sports Network.
Why did you lead off with big time?
I was obviously being sarcastic, D-Lou.
I was actually excited. I didn't know it was coming.
Gave your hopes up. I'm so sorry I gave your hopes up. But then for week one, we start get going. I don't know if we can talk about them now. Why not we just mention it just so people can start getting that feeling of college football and start smelling in the air. You've got East Carolina versus Appalachian State at 7:30 on Thursday night. Another one to mention, Ohio State at Minnesota on Thursday night at 8 p.m. So this thing is starting to get going. Like, we're talking Thursday night before Saturday's big time. What? PJ Fleck? What are you talking about? Florida State supposedly wanted him.
That boat is sinking.
I think you forgot PJ Fleck's a pretty good coach. But
I think I don't care.
They're at Minnesota too, and Minnesota has a very loud fan base now that there will actually be fans in attendance. It could be a wild environment, D-Lou. It could get crazy. That's at 8 p.m. on Fox. I think it'll be a good game. I think you're sleeping on it. And so that's mainly the high key game, the big boy games there. And then on Friday, you've got North Carolina at Virginia Tech at 6 p.m. Oh my God, dude, that whole week, I'm just going to have to make sure my cooler is loaded. Yeah, that's the big one on Friday night at 6 p.m. Virginia Tech and North Carolina. And then, we got Michigan State at Northwestern that night at 9 p.m. on ESPN. And let the fun begin on Saturday. You've got Penn State at Wisconsin to start off at noon on Fox. I think that will be a really, really, really good game. I like that they're starting off the season like that with those two matching up with one another. And then going down here, you've got a game that probably won't last into the second quarter. Alabama and Miami going at it, and Atlanta at 3:30 primetime ABC. Not really primetime, though. That's going to one that you're going to want to kind of nap for. You're going to have a little bit. You get to watch them get their ass beat and then kind of take a little nap. Then moving on there, I mean, I might be missing some, but, the big one's going to be, of course, Clemson and Georgia. That one's going to be a gigantic one. That one's actually going to be in a neutral site game in Charlotte. That's at 7:30 on ESPN. You got LSU at UCLA on Fox at 8:30 that night, too, going along with it. This just sounds like heaven. And then all you got left is two more matchups. Only one on Sunday, though. Notre Dame at Florida State. Prime time, 7:30. Only game being played on Labor Day weekend on that Sunday is Florida State and Notre Dame going at it. And then on Monday, Louisville versus Ole Miss. So at 8 p.m. So you got a lot of good stuff. I'm feeling a little bit. I haven't really felt it fully yet, but we're getting there. But it's just good to say that, college football will be back next month. We'll have a game to watch.
Looking forward to it.
I hope you are. One last thing before we jump off of here. Scotty Barnes, you were mentioning to me in the production meeting that it seems like his stock is rising. Austin talked about him last week quite a bit, but it seems like he's been performing well at these NBA combines.
Yeah, he killed the combine. And I mean, the stuff that I've been seeing floating around recently is that some teams have really been impressed with where his shot improvement has went so far. So, that was really one of the big knocks, I would say, on Scotty going into the NBA is just he doesn't really have that consistent shot from three-point range or from mid-range yet. And that's a really big part of his game that he's going to have to develop. I mean, you've seen it kind of with Ben Simmons on Philadelphia. When a player doesn't believe in their jump shot, it's just really hard to have them out there when the game is being played at the highest level in the playoffs. So that's going to be a huge focal point for Scotty. And I mean, the sooner that he can become more consistent, the better teams are going to feel about him. And, that kid, he's a hard worker. So I have a good feeling that he can get it done. And I mean, these private workouts leading up to the NBA draft, they're going to be really huge for him and for GMs to get a look at where his shot has progressed since the end of his college season.
Going on to an NBA guy that just had his season in, which sucks, but what a phenomenal way for Terrence Mann to get his name out there in the playoffs, man. It was really fun to watch. The Clippers lose to the Suns, but his name, you got to think the Clippers are definitely going to want to focus on trying to keep him around. He played very well. He put his name out there across the world, man. It was so much fun to watch, but best of luck to him. We got to hear the Spear alumni, man. We got to get him on to talk about his season, hopefully.
Yes, sir. And I mean, the crazy thing to me, Terrence Mann has a non-guaranteed contract next year. I mean, how is that even possible?
Wow.
So, I mean, the Clippers are obviously going to pick that up. But after next season, I mean, he's in line for a decent extension. I mean, this is exactly what we wanted to see from Terrence whenever he went into the NBA. You know, we knew he was going to hustle on defense. We knew he was going to fight for rebounds and really just play with heart out there. And it's the same thing with Scotty. I mean, it kind of came down to just getting that consistent jump shot, feeling comfortable in an NBA offense with how the speed is out there. And you really saw the light turn on for Terrence in these playoffs. I mean, you remember the 39-point game, but there were a lot of games outside of that where he was showing skills that he hadn't necessarily honed in on at Florida State. So credit to Terrence Mann and credit to the LA Clippers developmental staff because they've done a great job.
Absolutely. Really cool to see. And such a good guy, too. I love seeing his fiery personality, too, during that. Because I guess, Austin was talking about, I guess he did do that in college quite a bit. I guess it's just more fun to see a guy like him do it in the NBA and, be around all those veterans, too, and still having that kind of energy. I love it. And I think it's great for growing his brand, too. So, and the Clippers absolutely love him. The fan base loves him. So, good stuff. So best of luck to him, and definitely.
And Florida State basketball still needs to put number 14 in the rafters ASAP.
Absolutely.
14 and number 3.
Yeah.
Need to be hanging up there pretty damn soon. I mean, you're wasting your time. What are you waiting for?
What are we doing? Well, guys, definitely appreciate everybody hanging out with us this evening. It was definitely fun. We went through a lot of recruiting. Really. That was a majority of this podcast, but went through the new NLI that became its own craziness today. That's insane about, all these kind of deals that are going on. It'll be fun to see. I think I love business stuff, so it'll be really fun to watch some of these athletes and the kind of different brand deals, how much money they're getting, all that kind of stuff. It's fascinating to me. So be really interesting. It's something I'm keeping an eye on too. How does this work for outlets? How does this work for, national news places? Like, what does this do for college athletics overall? And it's going to be really fun to watch. But as always, thank you so much for listening. You can always listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Google Play. If you're on YouTube right now, we'd definitely appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. We're dropping 5 videos a week right now at this rate. And we're also doing live videos once a week on Thursday nights at 8:30. So if you hit that subscribe button, it will show up on your feed. And if you want to, hit the like button down below. It's free. It's easy. It's really quick. By the time I probably said it, you probably could have done it. But if you just hit that like button, it would definitely help out the show. Anything else, D-Lou, before we sign off?
Yeah. Did we get a donation tonight?
No donation. No. So now, heading into next week,
eating dinner.
You're not eating dinner. Maybe ramen. You're going to go to ramen tonight. So.
I got my old friend, Chef Boyardee. I like to eat it cold, right out of the can.
No, my goodness. We're going to feel so bad for you. But yeah, that will be open. So that's always open in case anybody wants to be generous, but it's definitely not a thing we're going to be asking for. Actually, I'm going to ask for it like within the first minute of the show next week. So, oh well, screw yourself. I'm playing. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Peace.